The Democrat Party is doing everything in their power to convince their base that they are fighting for them, that Donald Trump is a Nazi, that he is going to make American children starve. I'm going to go through the truth today with my special guest, Jovan Hutton Pulitzer. Jovan, thank you for joining me again.
Thank you for having me, sir.
So the propaganda that is going on, we are in the fog of war right now. The government has been shut down for a month. Democrats have voted against reopening, giving a clean continuing resolution bill. Now they're literally trying to leverage starving children, families that might have to steal from Walmart in order to make the GOP and Trump look bad. Why? So that they can get over $1 trillion. Some of that for illegal immigrants, a lot of that for Obamacare credits and subsidies. What do you make as you read and cover this story on your channel?
Well, we definitely live in an upside down world where that Nazi they say President Trump is gets Israel's highest honor, right? But they don't deal in truth, do they? In this battle of the government shutdown, I actually think it's about time that somebody is truly playing hardball. If you were to go back to look at all the shutdowns for the last 60 years, normally they last only a few days because it's really just a match between parties trying to get people's sympathies and leverage off each other. But what people don't know, and here's how it works, it's a really interesting hook in the shutdowns. If the Republican Party, which I have concerns about, but if President Trump can stick to his guns on this shutdown, even though it's going to hurt good people, pay attention, folks. If we can get fully past the 41-day mark of a total shutdown, get fully past it, then the president has the ability to permanently terminate these offices and peoples. Mm-hmm. So you have to understand, this is what you're really watching is another version of Doge, which there won't be the abilities to sue over. Remember, Doge found all that waste, 12 million people on Social Security that shouldn't be there. And the system started suing. But with this particular shutdown, if we stick to our guns, it will hurt people, folks. It's going to hurt. But if they can get past that 41 solid days and get into where they're pushing that 60-day mark, then President Trump can permanently end all of these unnecessary positions in government bloat, and it will be gone forever. So there is light at the end of the tunnel. It is going to hurt, but it's a con game because I think people should look right now at the Democrat Party, who's losing members. It's not growing except extreme liberal women. That's the only place it's growing. And I think people, because they're getting hurt by this and seeing the Democrats, they're holding out for illegals, people that don't abide by America's rules, break the laws to get here and want to give them everything to keep them because they use them as voting pawns. I think people are really starting to notice this. But, we got 42 million people on subsidies for welfare and stuff. It's going to hurt, but I pray. I really do. It's one of the hardest things we'll ever have to do is tighten in our belts. I hope we can stick to it because then those people, all that excess is permanently gone. President Trump can act and address it properly.
Okay, interesting. That's an interesting take that I had not heard. I want to get deeper into the 42 million, this game of chess that the Democrats are playing. The longer it goes on, though, Jovan, and this is coming from MSNBC and CNN, not Fox News. The longer it goes, the more the American people are blaming the Democrats. Correct. So they're losing the PR battle, and they're holding out. But let me show you a clip from the funny Senator John Kennedy, and then we will discuss it together.
Look, if the bill comes in front of us, I'm going to vote for it. I just think it's a waste of time talking about it because the Democrats aren't going to vote for it. The way to get everybody paid is to open up the government. We're not asking our Democratic colleagues to sell a kidney. All we're saying is we don't want anything. We just want to open up government so we can negotiate a budget. And Senator Schumer has said, well, I'll only open it up if you give us $1.5 trillion and gut the one big beautiful bill like a fish. Well, you know, Stuart, I'm not Bambi's baby brother. I'm not going to vote for that. I don't know any Republicans going to vote for that.
Okay.
So the Democrats have a decision to make. We're going to just stay shut down. I hate to see it. People are being hurt. But look, I voted yes to open it up 13 times. All of us have. I can't make Senator Schumer and my Democratic friends, I can't make them do it. They're looking foolish. I mean, I'm sure Jesus loves them, but to the American people, they're looking like idiots, in my opinion.
I love his candid nature.
Yes, Jesus may love them, but to the American people, they look like idiots. Your thoughts on his comments?
I'm going to read you a paragraph, and this might help put it in context. It says, the presidential defeat demonstrated, this is about the Democratic Party, the presidential defeat demonstrated the party's problems would not disappear as many as had hoped. Without a charismatic president to blame for their ills, Democrats must now come face to face with the reality that too many Americans have come to see the party as inattentive to their economic interest, inattentive and indifferent, if not hostile to their moral sentiments, and ineffective for defense and national security. You can relate to that, right? Well, the issue is that was a 1988 memorandum. A 1988 memorandum to Bill Clinton, and they had basically devised a new policy called the politics of evasion. We just have to evade this, and maybe we can avert it. Now, folks, that sentence dropped out of today's modern timeline. It could just lay over to today. What I realize has happened is the Democrat Party, which in fact, I have old Civil War documents where the Democrats talked about we lost, Lincoln freed the slaves, but if we're going to, maybe we can control them politically and we'll still control them, but we'll make all the political votes for them that benefit us. This has been in action for a very long time. But see, here's what I see. I see the party of absolution. And here's what I mean, and I'll be doing an episode on this. When it talks about, even in that 1988 document, that they've lost America's ethics and morals, what I see going on is the Democrat Party never could recover. So what they did, instead of worrying about American voters, they basically started importing voters. And what they did is they ramped up the what I call the hyphen war, the war of the hyphen, African Americans, Mexican Americans, gay Americans, etc. And so instead of worrying about the American people, they said, we're going to worry about the groups, marginalized. Then they can say, because they have to take the champion mode, we're your champions or whatever. Then when it came to morals and ethics, what they did is they just gently swapped morals and ethics. Instead of the normal things that we would think about, God and family and liberty and freedom, they basically said, well, it's immoral to be against a trans person or to be against a gay person or to not like somebody who is an atheist. And so what they do is a swapping part. Now, the easiest way I can explain when I say they became the party of absolution, and my statement I'm about to say may offend some people, but I just want you to consider it. My older sister had an abortion. She's 64 now. She has regretted it her entire life. It happened when she was about 17 years old. She has regretted it her entire life. We talk about it all the time. What I realized is in this shifting of morals and ethics, they convinced people, well, that's not a baby. That's a little blob of skin. It's not really formed. It's not human. When they can replace your view, then what they do is get to hot swap your morals, which they did in abortion. So when I look at the only place the Democrats are growing are that age of about 55, 58 to 62 with liberal white women, I realize what they have done is become the party of absolution, meaning they forgive you for your sins. And so you shift away from God and you adopt to the party that will forgive your sins. And so that's why pedophiles can embrace it. That's why all this stuff can embrace it. Illegals, child trafficking, because it absolves them of their sin. And that's wearing thin on people. And since we're only down to that last little bit that's going on, the Democrat Party struggling to hang on because they're dying. They're struggling to hang on. And what I see that big hold on now, because they've actually exposed themselves by going to extremes, are those women that found absolution for abortions that have backed the Democrat Party so they don't have to face it. And now they have a really big moral judgment to make, because I think when they let go of the Democrats, they're going to have to look of, oh, wow, what did I do in my life? Now, I'm not punishing anyone for it. That's between you and God. But what I'm saying is this is what I see going on. They have become a religious cult of absolution and excuse that everything's okay by me. And that's why they excuse crimes. But they need to fund it to keep it going because it's an evil machine.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. I've never considered it the way that you just said that, but that makes so much sense. Now, I want to show you a clip from CNN, but first, what you said about your sister. So my mother-in-law, she's in her mid-60s. She's a very good therapist. I asked her, this was several months ago, is there a common theme in your practice that has shocked you? She said, Stephen, I cannot tell you how many women in their 50s and 60s are still feeling bad for an abortion they had when they were young. I said, what? She said they think about it, they dwell on it, they feel terrible about it. They say, what would that child be doing now? That child could be taking care of me.
That's what my sister says.
That child could be bringing me joy at Christmas or Hanukkah or Thanksgiving, So very, very interesting. I appreciate you sharing that. Let me show you a clip. Jake Tapper goes after a Democrat, basically calling her a liar to her face.
Should the Democratic senators from New Mexico, your home state, vote to open the government so that these SNAP funds are not at risk?
Let me be clear. The administration is choosing to starve American children with money that they already have appropriated.
I'm not applauding their tactics.
By the White House.
Well,
this is a choice by the White House.
This is also, Congresswoman, this is also a choice by Senate Democrats to not vote to open the government. Yes, it is. I understand why they're doing it. They're doing it because they want Medicaid funds restored. They're doing it because they want Obamacare premiums to be extended past the end of the year. I understand the reasoning.
Sir, let me just be clear. The money for contingency plans is sitting there. That is why the states are suing. The White House is withholding funds from
2 to 3 weeks worth
to
of SNAP funds.
Food.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it may not be a big deal to you, but let me tell you that for the grandparents, for grandparents
it is a big deal
that
to me.
Literally are feeding their children.
My point is that it's a short-term
solution. In those accounts.
It's a short-term.
At the end of the day, people need to be able to feed their families, and Saturday is when those funds run out.
If you feel so strongly,
we are fighting
Congresswoman,
to get
why
that
not
funding.
ask the Senate Democrats from New Mexico to vote to open the government so that the SNAP funds...
Sir, I am here in the House of Representatives. It is shut down. I am fighting to get the government reopened. I am fighting to get funding put back into SNAP that is already existent, and I am fighting for the American people. I am here. But show me a single Republican that is here. Not a single one is here to make sure that Americans are fed on Saturday. That is why I am here.
Okay, that's not true, because I've been covering their time with the press, but she said that Republicans are going to purposely starve Americans in order to get their way. And Jake Tapper is like, you are the ones voting against reopening. I mean, help me understand this. Do they know that they do this interview on CNN and most of the Democrats that watch this are going to believe their talking points? Let me ask you something. How much time do you spend every day on a web browser? How much time do you spend clicking, searching around, scrolling, typing, endless tabs? It's a lot, right? Well, there's a new AI web browser from Perplexity called Comet. And that is completely changing the way that you interact with your web browser. Using Comet feels like having a personal assistant living in your web browser that can actually do things for you across the internet. That's right. It can do things, not just get you answers. You can ask Comet to handle tasks for you, and it literally clicks, types, searches, and scrolls like you would to get things done for you in the background while you go about your day. Comet can shop for you, make reservations, book travel, summarize articles or videos, send emails, schedule meetings, and a lot more to make your life easier. Let me give you an example. I'm about to go on a business trip to Tampa. So I've asked it to find me the best Mexican restaurants in the area. I want them to have a reservation, good reviews, and they have to have Diet Coke. Well, it found the one that I'm planning to go to. It set up the reservation and it's dumped it over to my calendar. You can use Perplexity and Comet to book fun things with your kids or grandkids, or buy things and send it to them. It's really quite amazing. Pretty cool, right? Download Perplexity's new AI web browser, Comet, by heading to pplx.ai/Gardner and let your browser work for you. Plus, right now, when you download Comet, you get a month of Rumble Premium for free. That's pplx.ai/Gardner. Go check it out right now. I'll leave a link down below.
Well, first off, it's all one big psychological warfare game, and it's all based on addiction, period, just like our bad foods in our system. The system has addicted people to parties, primarily the Democrat Party. Now, they repeat the mantra because it's part of neurological programming in your brain that we're fighting, we're fighting, we're fighting. That's all they care about, the talking points. But I think people are fed up, and you see it was surprising for Jake Tapper to push back that way, but he's also fighting for his career. He needs to keep his career. What I realize in all of these bloated packages is that, and it works on the Republican side too, to an extent, we become an addicted country. Now, here's what I mean. They will get as many people as they can to become dependent upon the government. Now, that could be through welfare, subsidies and stuff, and also, basically through government jobs where we've bloated. Those true jobs are a cross-section of all Americans, red, white, and blue, liberal, whatever the case may be. But when it comes down to, at the end of the day, you're going to shut down and you're not going to get paid for a couple of months. And oh, by the way, if they go past this 41 plus days, they don't have to pay back pay as either, right? That goes away too. And so I realize they've got people addicted and keep us as a country living so marginally thin that you will even vote against your interest because you just need that weekly paycheck. And so even conservatives that are employed in the government who will hurt find it very hard to buckle down, and everybody will start screaming as it happens. It's part of the addictive play. But what the Democrats are hoping, because their only platform right now is hating Trump. That's the only platform they have, is they need you to believe Nazi, Marxist, dictator, hurting people. And they realize people only rely on headlines and not facts and doesn't understand the mechanics behind it. But frankly, I think for the last 30 years, probably more, 40, the Democrats have bought their votes. And it's exactly what they're doing with illegals to keep this free tuition, to keep this free health care, because that's really the base of it, because they need those people to vote. Even though it's illegal to vote, they control them. They're going to get the vote. You can't go back and find the illegals. And I think that's the only thing keeping the Democrat Party in power. It's worse now because they know it, because they know America is abandoning them. They know America finally sees this is a BS game of taking money from us. They desperately need those illegals whole to buy loyalty so they can have some semblance of power going forward.
Well, it's like the quote that you read from 1988. Unless they have a charismatic president to hate on and blame for everything, they just fall apart. Now, you said something about it being out of control, that they're buying votes and stuff. Listen to what this Illinois member of Congress had to say about giving money to illegals. This is why they're so desperate.
Sure. Well, last year, and we raised this concern, last year the Democratic majority and the governor put into place a law that said we were going to provide free health care for undocumented citizens from age 42 on up, that we were going to provide them free health care. At the time, they said they anticipated about 10,000 residents would take advantage of this program. We raised the concern. We said that was going to be a problem. By the beginning of this year, the state said, well, We're wrong. That number is about 52,000. Now, this week, the state came out and said, we're wrong again. That number is now 120,000 undocumenteds are going to be receiving free health care at a cost of over $1 billion. That's money that's not in the budget. That's going to create a significant problem. And so here in Illinois, we are now adding thousands a month as you have unhealthy and sick, undocumented citizens from around the country, from frankly around the world, that are coming to Illinois because the fact we are the only state that covers these individuals for total health care.
Okay. Wow. That's a lot to unpack. So they admit we're giving undocumented illegals free health care, not American citizens, illegals. We think it'll be about 10,000 people. Oops. Now it's over 50,000 people. Oops. Now it's over 120,000 people. And guess what? Most of them from these other countries, they're sick and they don't have any money. So they're now literally, you're filling the insurance pool with a bunch of sick, poor people. And that's affecting premiums. That's affecting the cost of healthcare, people abandoning the emergency room bills. Your thoughts on, I mean, this is a 12x problem than what they thought they would have. And like he said, we have thousands of people coming every week because they know that they can get free health care.
It's called the Cloward-Piven effect, and it's basically a push-pull program. What they do is they work steadily on giving things free out, which ultimately end up bankrupting the system, getting it into massive debt. Right now, you're saying it is not okay for illegals. They're not undocumented. They are illegals. It is not okay for illegals to be getting free health care. That doesn't mention that they're getting several $1,000s a month in grocery and housing and education. Doesn't mention that. So we're at this interesting cusp of what's going on. See, the left has always sold you free education, free healthcare. That's what we really like Canada, like socialism, right? And so in this push-pull, they will push out those services for free to all these illegals. You'll eventually capitulate and quit complaining about it. Say, well, I want at least at what they're getting. And in that subtle move of moving you over, you get free healthcare, you get free education. But in fact, what happened is the government has taken over these institutions. It happened in China. It happened in Venezuela. It happened in Peru. It happened in Cuba. It is the standard policy for doing it. So you'll stop complaining and say, well, just at least treat me as good as they treat, and you think you're getting something. So that's the plan. But it has to collide with incredible, hard financial times where these city, states, governments, et cetera, can't make their bills, and they just need more and more money. It is all about bankrupting the system to get the great readjustment.
Wow. Okay, so I've been seeing a lot of Democrats. They say, President Trump says everything's getting better under him, yet we have 42 million people that are on food stamps. When you start digging in to the numbers, you start to realize that, oh, wait a minute, the government could afford to help. And under Trump's first term, people were getting to work. They were making more money than ever. And that was going. And then where does this big behemoth jump come from? Oh, Biden letting 20 million illegals in, and they're getting that food stamps. It perfectly coincides with Trump getting illegals out of the country, and then a giant jump in illegal border crossings. There has to be a correlation there, right?
Yeah, and part of what you're not seeing in that correlation with the pandemic and what they did with that, they put a tremendous amount of people in the United States basically on unemployment and welfare combo across many small towns, which it's never reported about, but I live remote and there's small towns everywhere. You can't even hire people for $20 an hour because it is more beneficial for them to stay on that unemployment and welfare from the government and not do anything. Now, listen to what I said. You can't even hire people at $20 an hour because they're getting checks for free. And that's to the tunes of tens of millions of people. They've done this. Again, it goes back to breaking the system. We have many people that should be back to work that got caught in this very racket. The pandemic ushered it in. That was the plan. It's the big government tit. And once you get back on the tit, it's very hard to cut yourself off. And it takes so much for you to come back after you've been languishing for years, sitting at home, eating Cheetos, watching DVDs, playing games online, not having to work, making more than you made for any job you worked before that.
Yeah, they've got to cut through a lot. It's probably time to doge these programs pretty heavily. I mean, if there really is that many illegals, they say there's no illegals in Social Security. Oh, we find 12 million that shouldn't be on the rolls. Oh, nobody in Medicaid. Oh, we find millions there. The SNAP program. Oh, tens of millions there. Oh, they're not voting. Oh, we find all of that. The American people, they're waking up to this, but more needs to be done. Now,
we have to hurt to feel it.
Yeah, I know.
Look, we got sequestered. We got conned. President Trump came in and we saw great beauty and thrive. The system, the media conned our craniums, crapped in our craniums, right? Told us it was bad. Then they usher in the pandemic. They threw everything out there to break the system. And people are mad. People are finally seeing. But you know what? People don't learn when times are good. You also don't learn when you're mad. You're going to change, and you're going to change for good when you hurt. It's just like any other addict. You got to hit rock bottom. And right now, America's getting to that edge. It's going to hurt a lot. You're going to have to get through that hurt and wade through it, but you're going to wake up, and you're probably going to wake up on the side of a conservative and say, I'm tired of this no more.